President-elect Donald Trump's plan to do mass deportation of immigrants is apparently causing widespread panic among farmers. Hmm.
Oh no!
The agricultural lobbying group, American Business Immigration Coalition, ABIC, estimates that agricultural output will fall between 30 and $60 billion if Trump's policy is indeed carried out, which, of course, will no doubt raise food prices. That's bad for us. As a result, of course, restaurant owners and agricultural leaders are calling for a balanced approach that supports businesses and preserves the workforce, the very workforce that gets exploited by these businesses. But let's be honest about this, right? Americans don't do these jobs because they're not only very physically demanding, okay, with terrible conditions. It's backbreaking work. I know. I've done it. Okay. Yes, sure. I picked strawberries when I was a teenager. Okay. And it was at an orchard. And it was hard work. And no surprise that most of the people that I had worked with were immigrants, didn't speak English. So it doesn't pay very much. And it's very difficult work, which is why immigrant labor is so widely used. All right. So now these business leaders backed by the ABIC warn that Trump's policy could result in a massive loss of revenue. So remember, that's what the lobbyists care about. That's what the business owners care about. They don't actually care about the fact that these families will end up being uprooted, thrown into camps, and then shipped to a country where they might not have lived for 20, 30 years. And so they don't actually have homes there, or sent back to a country where they might end up literally being murdered. Yeah, they don't care about that. Okay. No, it's because a lot of these companies, they want to keep paying people less. Okay. So understand that that's why we actually haven't solved this problem. Okay. Because immigrants, to a lot of corporations, they're a source of cheap labor, cheap exploitable labor that people allow, to be in this country because it keeps our prices lower, right? And so people, yeah, and of course there are people that do actually care about the plight of immigrants and how a lot of them are just trying to get away from governments that are corrupt, governments that are violent against their own citizens. Thanks a lot to U.S. foreign policy, our war on drugs, etc., and of course crushing poverty caused by a lot of those same corporations. For example, our corn industry that heavily subsidizes U.S. corn and had put a lot of farmers in Mexico, for example, out of business, leading to a lot of people going across the border because they literally can no longer survive. So there are people that care about that. And then, of course, there's the business people that just care about cheaper labor. And, of course, there's also the fact that they can't find a lot of Americans that are actually willing to do this job, even if they offer $15 an hour, right, for this work. It's still incredibly difficult to find working Americans that will do this job. So, there's a lot of different facets to this immigration crisis, and Republicans and Democrats have all added to this and not solved it for mainly because of corporate greed. Let's be honest about this, okay? So that's why this is the so-called unsolvable crisis. But you know what also doesn't solve it? Deporting millions of people, okay? Not going to solve this at all, okay? So now that said, some of the farmers themselves are very concerned. Okay. In fact, you have Jennifer Tilton Flood, a dairy farmer from Maine. She called the potential mass deportations a, quote, catastrophic nightmare. Quote, the idea of mass deportations is frightening and scary just on a humane level with regards to our community. Mass deportations could affect our entire dairy industry throughout the U.S. Okay, so there's both of those concerns, right? On a humane level, it's horrifying. Jackbooted thugs coming into people's homes and ripping them out and throwing them in camps. Like, that's horrifying, right? And then you also have the economic angle, which, Did most of our workforce just get ripped out of their homes and deported? Who's going to do the jobs? So again, there's, different issues at play here. Lots of different things at play here. All right. In fact, she says, quote, speaking on behalf of farms like mine that are within the control of Customs and Border Protection due to our proximity to an international border, without due diligence, there's a great chance for families to be broken apart. A lot of my team are raising Americans at home, and so it's tough. There's a lot of concern, and there's a lot of panic. Sam Sanchez, owner of Third Coast Hospitality and a board member of the National Restaurant Association, told Newsweek on a call, quote, if these workers are deported, restaurants will close, leading to massive losses in revenue and a significant downturn in the economy. Sanchez, a representative for 25,000 restaurants in Illinois, emphasized the reliance on undocumented workers in his sector and warned of the economic ripple effects of such a policy. He sounded the alarm of the devastating consequences of mass deportations on U.S. agriculture and the hospitality sector. Over 54% of our employees are undocumented, he said. Many of these individuals are good law-abiding citizens who worked tirelessly throughout the pandemic but were ineligible for unemployment benefits. So that's a very good point. Undocumented immigrants pay taxes, but they're ineligible for benefits, okay? They pay taxes, they pay into Social Security, they pay into, especially state and local, okay? And they actually help the communities through their, not only taxes, but also through their spending, okay? And so, in their labor, getting rid of them is going to be devastating. Let's be very, very clear, economically, all right? Now, he says, we need policies that ensure that these essential workers can stay and continue contributing to our economy. Again, this is the National Restaurant Association, so all they're worried about is business, money, profit, right? If, we actually have to hire American citizens, well, we can't exploit them like we can with undocumented workers. Again, I just want to hammer home the point here, right? The way to actually solve this is to have a massive immigration reform, okay? To make it so that it is simpler and easier and that it is quicker to become a citizen, that you are vetted quickly and then integrated quickly so that you can start paying taxes and actually getting something in return for those taxes. Yeah, I know, crazy. But again, there's reasons, mainly lobbying, these corporations that want to exploit foreign labor, reasons that every time comprehensive immigration reform comes up, it is crushed. And of course, another reason is racism. You also have that. And let's be clear.
The Republican Party's racist.
That said, there's more. Oscar Silva, a dreamer and spouse of a U.S. citizen who's applied for the Keeping Families Together program, responded to a question from Newsweek on a press call and said this: the prospect of deportation is more than just a fear. It's a constant heavy weight in all our lives. Sylvia has been with his wife Natalie since high school and had lived in Texas for 20 years. So 2 decades. Policy isn't just terrifying, it's deeply unfair for people like us who have done everything possible to create a stable life in the U.S. Policies like these threaten not our future, but our peace of mind and sense of security. Every day, my family constantly wonders, what if he's forced to leave? What if we're forced to leave? What if everything we've worked for is taken from us? It's hard for us to understand why anyone would want to take that away, knowing the impact it would have not only on our family, but our entire community. Well, look, here's the thing. Okay, why would anyone want to take that away? Because the cruelty is the point. All right, that's it. And you read stories like this. And by the way, you also had heard during the last Trump administration, people getting deported, right? That were pillars of the community. That even Trump voters were like, hey, wait a minute, why are you taking him? He's a good one. Well, that's what you voted for. That's what you voted for. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. And people are going to be like, what? Why are you taking the good ones? You got Carlos. He wasn't a bad guy. Why did you deport him? Because that's what you voted for. That's what you wanted. look, at the end of the day, this mass deportation plan, obviously it's not good morally. Okay, it's an immoral plan. It's also not good economically. Look, currently undocumented immigrants make up close to 45% of all agricultural workers in the U.S. Approximately 950,000 out of an estimated 2.2 million farm laborers. This plan could disrupt essential farm operations, creating significant challenges for American farmers who rely heavily on this workforce. We already saw what happened in Florida. Okay, we already saw what happened in these states that passed these draconian anti-immigration laws. You had vegetables rotting in the fields. You have people that are like, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk getting deported. I'm not going to do anything. So I'm getting out of here. And now, unfortunately, what happened in Florida is probably going to happen all across the country. Okay. Now, Hector Quiroga, an immigration attorney, previously told Newsweek, quote, if implemented, these mandates would create a huge labor shortage in the U.S., and it would make us less competitive in the global marketplace. As the nation braces for significant policy shifts, business leaders, workers, and advocacy groups are calling for a more balanced approach that supports both immigration reform and the economic stability of industries dependent on immigrant labor. So, and once again, this is going to end up, first, it's going to waste a lot of money, all right, on enforcement. It's also, it's going to be incredibly expensive. $1 million a year, and that's after the initial billions and billions of dollars of expenditures to get this started. All right, and it's also going to raise prices because that workforce is just shredded, decimated. Okay, and so if you're hoping for cheaper food prices under Trump, no, not going to happen. Combine that with the tariffs, we're all in for a real rough time. Okay, real rough time. And again, economically, this is a terrible idea. Morally, it's a terrible idea. It's just a terrible idea, period. So why do it? Because it's about the cruelty. There are people out there that get off on the idea of kicking out everybody in this country who is not white. All right? That's the reality. And look, there are Latinos out there who voted for Donald Trump. I mean, a lot of them, larger share of Latinos going for Donald Trump that are like, yeah, no, I'm fine with this. We're the good ones. They're not going to get rid of us. We're here. We were here legally. So it's the ones who came over illegally. Those are the bad ones. We're going to be fine. No, you're not. You ain't going to be fine. You think that once they're done with the undocumented, they're not going to come for the naturalized citizens? Pretty sure they will. At the end of the day, this is not about anything other than racism and white supremacy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.